How do?
Look on the Tory benches. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Gaff Girl!
I, Gaff Girl, am interrupting your frolicking to bring you this important announcement. As Mr. Blasé is a cheerleader for the Wakarati lunchtime sandwich eaters, you should under no circumstances click the like button, subscribe or leave any comments. Failure to comply will result in me sending Batman Bob round to your home to check that you have paid your TV license and he can get jolly baity. Normal frolicking will be resumed shortly.
That's all, folks.
Hello and welcome to the Friday Frolic with a bit of a difference, because you may have noticed again, if you look on there, you'll probably see an empty chat, because at this very moment I'm not here. Now, I did think I did this yesterday, which is Thursday today. I did think, why don't I just do the live stream as a Thursday instead of Friday? But I knew that would mix in with the good lads at the Bin podcast, and I didn't want to eat into their live stream, and I certainly didn't want to eat into Regan Elite's live stream. I would have felt a bit of a shit for doing that. So what I decided to do was, again, I would just do the live stream on private, I suppose you could say, and then we will I will have it set up for Friday. Hopefully, fingers crossed, no more problems to what we had before, which was basically not long before it was supposed to go out. It got, I suppose anyway, it got banned a little bit, because I think I put something on that people had flagged, and by the time I basically cut it out, it was not bad. It was just a bit of music. I think that's what it was. Then he decided, right, I'm going to go through all of it again, and make sure there's no incriminating, dodgy stuff again. So that's what I decided to do. So I had to wait, and by the time it had gone through it all, it was basically past the time I'd already set it at, so it just went out as a video, so it went as a bit of a pre-recorded live stream for you to watch without me making a bit of an idiot myself and getting distracted with the chat. Although it's not a bad thing being distracted by the chat, it's quite good, because y'all do come out with some hilarious, brilliant, sort of fantastic comments, so I do enjoy that. But anyway, let's crack on. Yes, this is going to be a Friday Frolic recorded on the Thursday, and I'm going to do something a little bit different to what I normally do. What I usually tended to do was basically I would just have a good load of clips to get sorted with and started off with, and then we'd just mosey on and whatever. But a dear friend of ours, he basically said something to me about on the fact that sometimes don't really speak enough about what the subject is, and I'm struggling to keep on track with it to understand it. So I thought I'd just come up with a little bit of a difference. But yeah. So what I basically did was, I tend to repost whatever I've seen on Twitter, and then just bookmark it so I know where everything is, and so I can get it all pretty much sorted out that way. But I've sort of like found little bits of interesting articles about the subject at hand as well. So we will see how that goes. Hopefully it will maybe make the live stream more interesting and more entertaining. There'll be a little bit of, you could say, humour mixed in with a bit of the serious stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But like as I said, when you're watching this, chances are I will be in the wonderful and beautiful city of Edinburgh. Yes, I'm heading up to Scotland. I cannot wait. No, I'm not going up there to see the Mango Mussolini, and I do not have a 2-litre bottle of carton of my own piss to throw at him. No, it's not going to be doing anything like that. No, it's just a bit of a break for me and my beloved. We're going to spend a couple of days, I think it's about 2 days in Scotland, so quite looking forward to it. But anyway, you don't come here to listen to me rabbit on about our travels, our Gulliver's travels and all. So you've come here to watch a bit of fun and a bit of hopefully maybe a little bit of education in our Friday frolic. And here's a good case in question, and here's a good bit, good point in question, and is this wonderful young lady? Yes, we all know who this young lady is. This is the fantastic, the absolutely brilliant Lysandra Vasquez. She does some absolutely fantastic, brilliant impressions of the quite unhinged and nutty Caroline Levitt, and she does also takes a piss out of that cross that she was. If I'm honest, I'm surprised she hasn't been smited. And because, let's be honest, there's nothing Christian about her whatsoever. But anyway, we will plod on. This is Lysandra Vasquez impression of Caroline Levitt's unhinged 20th of July press briefing. Take it away, Lysandra.
Barack Hussein Obama should be deported to wherever he's from, but no one knows where he's from. No one has ever seen a birth certificate of his, okay? And also Joe Biden, he should be tossed in jail, throw away the key with all those millions of illegal alien criminals that he let in, that he's like, oh, these are good people. Okay, well, spend some time with them in jail. How about that? With the likes of a gang member like Albrego El Chapulín Colorado. And let's see how you do with that, okay? And that's on Putting America First. We're moving at Trump speed to get that done for the American people, and you're welcome, sure.
What do you say to all the people who think that all of this Obama stuff is a distraction from Epstein?
Okay, so maybe, so for a second I thought maybe you people weren't as dumb as a rock, but maybe you are, okay? You're dumb. That's a stupid question, and guys, maybe I should explain this in a way that people that are snowflakes with liberal arts degree can understand. How about a Broadway reference, okay? New York Times, get over here. This is where you shine, okay? Caitlin, Washington Post, okay? Gather around. You guys have seen the movie Wicked? Toss, okay? Obviously, Glinda was perfect. She was popular. That's President Donald J. Trump, okay? And then Jeffrey Epstein, wicked, okay? Actions, deplorable. Everyone is like, no. When he died, no one mourned the wicked. And goodness knows, the wicked's lives are lonely. You know, the wicked die alone. And that's exactly what happened to Jeffrey Epstein. Died alone, not with a bucket of water, but maybe. You know? No one knows because no one else was in there. Okay? But just because they were once friends doesn't mean that they were changed for bad. They were changed for good. Or at least one of them was. The other one was changed for bad. So, and if that doesn't clock to you, then maybe you could riddle this. Okay? Do you think Kevin McAllister should be in charge of any crimes committed by the pigeon lady just because he gave her a turtle dove in Home Alone 2 Lost in New York? I rest my case.
I love the way she always pigeons in Home Alone 2. That's just quite hilarious. She does it so brilliant. But yes, around this time last week, the main subject of distraction from the Trump administration to try and get you to basically forget about the Epstein files, you know, that conspiracy theory that he'd been peddling for so many years. Oh yeah, the Epstein files is real. Yes, if I become president, I will unseal the Epstein files. And then when it really comes to it, and it basically was going to show what most sensible, rational, free-thinking people thought was the fact that basically that our Trumple thin-skinned, he's got his fingerprints all over it, absolutely all over it, and what a surprise! Who'd have thunk it, eh? But anyway. Well, as I say, I've managed to basically sort of like, what I've done is, when it comes to my basic repost, I managed to get some sort of like little articles so we could sort of like go over what's been going on, so that we can have a little bit of a Let's be honest. Let's see if we can. No. How does that work? No, it's what we will do here is we will basically see what we can do to maybe improve this. Because it's right, because it's right, we can just do this. Oops. There we go. Right, we're cooking on gas now. That's better, isn't it? We can have a look at that. But yes, because like around this time, the what they were in their new way of go on. Right, there we go. Let's start that again. So I thought basically we'd go through a little bit of articles of what the video was about, and at this time last week, in the desperate attempt to try and, you could say, to basically distract the MAGA loons from what is now the scandal that is unsurprising for us rational people, but clearly has really upset the MAGA crowd, because let's be honest here. If you are what you would say, basically, pouring fuel on a conspiracy. On a conspiracy, don't be surprised if it blows up in your face, isn't it, really? And this was, because when that came out, this was the headline that I managed to find out about, with Trump under scrutiny over Epstein, Tulsi Gabbard calls for prosecution of Obama-era officials. Yes. She's absolutely mental, isn't she? Tulsi fucking Gabbard, one of the absolute grifter extraordinaire, isn't she? He said, while President Donald Trump scrambles to fend off scrutiny about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and the demand for the full release of the Epstein files, one of his top appointees, Director of National Insurance, might as well be, ain't she? Because she's an absolute liability, isn't she? Tulsi Gabbard released a report Friday focused on an alleged treasonous conspiracy carried out by the Obama administration during the 2016 election. Yes, it goes through the key facts of in a Friday afternoon press release accompanied by a thread on X. Gabbard claimed Americans will finally learn the truth, clearly not, about the 2016 election and alleged the Obama administration and FBI officials manufactured and politicized intelligence to create doubt around Trump's election victory in 2016. And in a memo titled The Russia Hoax, yes, Russia, Gabbard's office outlines allegations against former Director of National Intelligence James Clapper. Rather unfortunate name, isn't it? James Clapper. Former CIA Director John Brennan and former FBI Director James Comey, which Gabbard says clearly shows there was a treasonous conspiracy in 2016 committed by officials at the highest level of our government. And when it comes to Tulsi Gabbard, there isn't any madcap conspiracy theory that she will have no problems in believing, would she? If you told her the earth was flat, she'd buy into it, wouldn't she? But anyway, months after taking office in 2017, Trump fired Comey, who had overseen the FBI during the investigation into Russia interference. And the newly declassified report contains 114 pages of partially redacted emails showing communications between Obama's administration office officials, should I say, about potential Russian interference in the election. Gabbard pointed to multiple intelligence community assessments to her statement that said Russia was probably not trying to influence the election in 2016 through cyber means, followed by press reports claiming the intelligence community had concluded Russia had tried to interfere in the election. Well, that's it. If Tulsi Gabbard said that, then it must be true. Also, Gabbard's memo alleges the Obama administration relied on the Steele dossier in claiming that Russia interfered in the election. Gabbard's claim run counter to bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee investigation that found Russia interfered in the 2016 election and noted that although Trump's contact with Russian officials presented a grave intelligence threat, it was not clear if the president's allies knowingly worked with Russia to bolster Trump's chances of victory. Hmm. Yeah. Why don't I believe? And in 2019 report by Special Counsel Robert Mueller also found Russia interfered in the election. Shocker! You do surprise me, Robert. I never saw that one coming. Gabbard called for the prosecution of Obama administration officials, saying every person involved in this conspiracy must be investigated and prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. But if you're, let's just say, if you have been found guilty on a number of crimes and you're on their side, even rape and rather dodgy meetings with a with a man who was running a paedophile ring. Oh no, nothing to see here. But anyway, now Representative Jim Himes, I think it means a Democrat, Connecticut. I'm not sure, I can't quite remember, said it in a statement reported by Politico that Gabbard was seeking to change the subject with her allegations, adding, baseless accusations of treason are unfortunately par for the course for this Director of National Intelligence, but that doesn't make them any less damaging and unacceptable. Well, yeah. And like as I said, when it comes to conspiracy theories, the wackier and the most mental ones, she'll be all over them like a rash, won't she? Because no madcap conspiracy theory is madcap. It's too madcap for her. She'll buy into it straight away, won't she? And pressure on the Trump administration to release the full breadth of the Epstein files increased over the last week, reaching a fever pitch after the Wall Street Journal published a report Thursday alleging Trump sent a suggestive letter to Jeffrey Epstein for the late sex offender's 50th birthday. Now, Washington Post, I think you'll find that our leader-in-chief, he never met the guy, doesn't know who he is. I may have known him, may not have known him, I may have met him, I may not have met him. That's what I'd been saying. And the letter reportedly contained a drawing of a naked woman. I wonder if he drew it with crayons. And had the president's signature. And on Friday, Trump sued the reporters behind the story, Robert Murdoch and Dow Jones and Co., Wall Street Journal's publisher, for libel, assault and slander. Wow. Not an ounce of shame in the guy, is there? Trump also ordered Attorney General Pam Bondi to make a request to have the grand jury testimony linked to Epstein's indictment made public. However, Representative Ro Connor, is it Connor? Is it Ro Connor? I'm not sure. I think maybe Democrat for the California. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but has pointed out the testimony largely pertains to Epstein and his associate Ghislaine. Is it Ghislaine? It's one of the other, isn't it? She's a nonce anyway, so what does it matter? Mark's. Oh, she might not have done any crimes, but she was partaking in it once, yeah. So she knew what she was doing. Not all the rich and powerful men who abuse, assault and abandon young women. And Trump also was investigated by Mueller from 2017 to 2019 over potential Russian collusion ahead of the 2016 election, when Trump defeated Democrat presidential nominee Hillary Clinton, whoever, I must admit, I got the feeling, even on her own side, from what I was watching on, on YouTube, I thought she was about as, popular as a finer lift from what I were hearing as well. And Mueller ultimately found no Trump campaign member or associate knowing the coordinated campaign efforts with the Russians, but the special counsel later added that Trump's claim he was totally exonerated by the report was not true. Mueller, who also found Russia interfered in the election in an attempt to benefit Trump's campaign, did not exonerate Trump from obstruction of justice, and the president has maintained the investigation into him and his team were agent and defended Russia against claims of election interference. What a shocker. You would have never guessed, would you? Yes, it was a total witch hunt. I'm innocent. I never did anything. I was never there. and I... that Putin is a tough hombre. He wouldn't do anything for me, honest. But he says... But last time I met Putin, he said, "Sir, you have the most magnificent hair." And I said, "Thank you, sir." So, yes. So that's... that was the latest wheeze of trying to distract the MAGA cultists from their, you could say, the mess that they found themselves in with the Epstein files. And I think we all know one thing, it's not going to go away, is it? Because the longer they try and tell them to just stop talking about it, the more they're going to talk about it, aren't they? Because these people have been led on the diet of believing that these files are real, and they've gotten it, and they're probably, and let's be honest, there will be, because if you're doing an island with for that sole purpose, you are going to have names on there, won't you? You are going to have names, and there'll be a lot of people. I'll tell you, one person over here will be really sweating. There'll be a certain Prince Nonce Andrew. But anyway, yes, that was the latest madcap last week. When let's just say that you could say that. Let me get right. There we go. Right. Why? All right. Just thought something had gone wrong there on my screen. And professional to the fault, aren't I? But yes, that's hilarious. Now this is brilliant. This is absolutely brilliant. Now remember last week when a certain charlatan from over here, he was doing his best to sow division and hatred around the country, and yes, I think we know who we're talking about here. Yes. Don't worry, it's only a short clip, but it's hilariously funny. It's hilariously funny because, yes, unfortunately, yes, it's this fucking moron, and let's. I've no idea what's happened there, but oh, dickhead. Well, that's ruined that, hasn't it? But never mind. Let's see if we can... Yes. Yes, now I know. Yeah, we'll get there in the end. But yes. This is a bit of a clip with a bit of a difference. We will get there in the end because this is hilariously funny, and I think the people should just do this more often, especially when he goes off on a bit of a tangent. Because yes, he did a press conference, while racists were hanging around hotels, you know, that have got asylum seekers and, you know, waiting for to have their claims processed. This man basically was dancing round the edges of, you know, trying to start more riots, I suppose you could say. Riots for 2.0. But this is hilariously funny, proper Trumpian, and it ended in proper Trumpian style, hilariously funny.
I don't think anybody in London even understands just how close we are to civil disobedience on a vast scale in this country, and I regret saying that. Of course, there were some bad eggs that turned up at Epping. There were the usual far-right thugs. But equally, what about Antifa? Why are Antifa allowed to go to these demonstrations?
Nigel Farage there in Westminster in central London setting out 10 law and order policies that he would introduce.
Yeah, in other words, shut the fuck up, Nigel. You're sounding like a bit of a tit. And yes, while he just had to go on his ridiculous, and you could see the look on his face. He knows exactly what he's doing. And look at her, stood up, sat aside him with that stupid grin on her face. I have no idea who she is, but she's clearly loving it. And that clown at the other side of him, yeah, Sarah Potson. Why is it she? The best analogy I can ever heard about her. Why is it? Does she look as though she's the only one who can smell her own farts? And she does, doesn't she? She just looks like she's well, more to the point, the only one who always looks as though she's very disgusted by her own farts. And she does, doesn't she? She's another idiot who made a bit of a tit of herself, didn't she? On all sorts of ridiculous notions. And we'll get to her later on, don't you worry about that. And I have to say, she must be dead thick, you know, because you know, when she said, "Oh, well, I won't feel comfortable with two female police officers going in pairs," and you think, "All right, well, why wouldn't you?" And then she goes on about saying, "I think all policemen should be strapping 6-footers." Is this a fantasy of yours, Sarah, or something? And you just think, I've noticed that Nigel didn't say anything like that. You know, just let Sarah just go off on one because she's a fucking idiot. Absolutely mental, isn't she? But, yes, I thought that made me chuckle because, you know, he's about going in mid-flow. That's absolutely, say something absolutely ridiculous. And then the BBC cut him off. Absolutely brilliant. And it made me chuckle, and quite right as well. But yes, as I say, let's just say we've got a bit of a interesting article about that as well. Well, if I can. Yes, yes, got a bit of an interesting article about that. Yes, where, yes, our Nigel, yes, I have no idea what's going on there. It's fucking up. Do you know what? We'll bypass all that bollocks. It's just going to do that. But you get the picture. Yes, he decided to defend the rioters. Absolutely hilarious. But anyway, while we were as I say, while we're on the subject, yes, this is our.
You're going to get. It's a.
Yes, this is the ridiculous Sarah Potchin, where she makes a bit of a tit of herself, where even she cannot defend the defend. It's so easy, you know, you just say the bang out of order. But this is just absolutely brilliant. It just shows you that she gets called out, and I have a theory for this. It's just a theory.
You're going to get. It's a fact, by the way, that.
Right, let's see. We're going.
So the context, Sarah.
They're putting women like me.
You're going to get. It's a fact, by the way, that this particular element, particularly Afghan, particularly Eritrean asylum seekers, have a particular problem with sexual assaults and sexual violence against women.
Okay,
well, it is a fact.
I've got the figures.
No, it's
hold on
not
a second,
please. It's an absolute fact. It's a fact.
Hold on.
It's reported that as a potential.
We all know your party is fine.
As a percentage of the population, they are far higher and to offend. No, you can turn your nose up.
Absolute
it's
nonsense.
Like
so the context, Sarah.
They're putting women like me.
Sarah, just hold on 1 second.
That they should. You say you understand why they're there. Would you say to them they should go home?
The rioters.
Do you think they should stay outside?
Are you talking about the rioters?
Well, I'm talking about the people who are protesting outside the asylum.
The protesters I meant to say, not the rioters. I'm saying that I completely understand why people
I'm asking whether you think they should go home.
That if they're peacefully protesting, no, that's what this country's about. Anybody can peacefully protest.
Okay? It's obviously not turned into peaceful protest. So should they go home?
Sarah, just hold on 1 second.
That they should.
Right.
You're going to get. It's a.
Right, we'll get back to about here. That's the reason why we're going to stop those, because when she said all about peaceful protesting, but you know these will be the same people, you know, who were demanding that those who were, you know, protesting about, you know, protecting the environment. These will be the same people who were demanding that these people, you know, or those who were, you know, gluing themselves to the road, you know, because and you know, blocking the roads because they want to make a point about protecting the environment. Get them up, sling them in prison, have them hung, drawn and quartered, beheaded, and stick their heads at Traitors' Gate, and then flog their bodies and then throw them into prison for the rest of eternity, and throw away the Key Brigade, weren't they? The hypocrisy is pathetic.
I want to say, if it's a peaceful protest, yes, that's what this country's all about. We let the pro-Palestinian protests continue, etc., etc. When those
calling
protests,
them anti-Semites and all
in my
that.
view, potentially on purpose get infiltrated with people that want to cause civil unrest, that is a totally different thing. Antifa were there.
James Regan, your councillor. Do you think your councillor James Regan incited someone by
protesting? Do you know about Antifa? No, they were there. Antifa were there.
They're not the reason why there was violence, right? And you've said yourself you understood why the violence happened.
There are bodies of people that will come in on purpose to incite
violence. And was your councillor one of those?
Right, we need to have one at a time, please.
I think it's disappointingly evasive of the question I asked.
No, if they're peacefully protesting, fine.
But it's obvious that this turned into something that's more than a peaceful
Then the police
process.
need to get involved.
Right, and you think...
Well,
but you think that people should go home, considering their protest has turned into something
which
you say it wasn't intended.
If it becomes violent, then of course it needs to be dispersed.
Okay, I think she has said.
Yes, when it comes to refuck, they know their base, don't they? They really do know their base. And they're not going to basically shit all over their base, are they? But yes, unbelievable. She is thick as a brick, isn't she? She's utterly numb as a brush. But yes, let's see if this article works this time. See if we can. Yes, because like so we can get rid. Oh, typical. We'll do it. Yeah, we'll do it this way. It's pain in the fucking ass. But yes, I will get there. Yes, Reform UK MP given brutal reality check by BBC journalists after an on-air bust-up. And I have it's a little bit of a theory, I'm not saying I'm right. I think I'm wondering if it's because they got called out by Ed Davey. I do. I'm just wondering if they did get called out, because let's be honest, when it comes to having refuck on, they do tickle the bellies, don't they? And it's probably same with Tories as well, to a certain degree, but especially refuck. Or don't they get their bellies tickled? And for her to say that, I think David could, he's calling out, I think that could have something to do with it. But yes, when Vicky Young is reporting, yes, a refuck MP was given a brutal reality check after an on-air row about asylum seekers. Smelly farter Potchin said it was a fact that Afghans and Eritreans are more likely to carry out sexual assaults. But BBC Politics Live presenter Vicky Young then produced figures that showed that was not true. Smelly farter Potchin had made her claim after attending a refuck press conference in which party leader Nigel Foghorn of Ignorance vowed to crack down on crime if he becomes Prime Minister. I think there's more chance of me becoming Prime Minister. And there's 2 chances of me becoming Prime Minister. Slim to none. But anyway, the Runcorn and Helsby MP said, it's a fact that the particular element, particularly Afghan, particularly Eritrean asylum seekers, have a particular problem with sexual assaults and sexual violence against women. It is a fact. Another panellist challenged a smelly Potchin repeated, it's an absolute fact. It's a fact, you know. Oh, well, it's a fact, Sarah. It must be true then if refuck says it is. And it's reported that it is a percentage of the population that are higher to offend. And turning to another guest on the programme, the MP said, you can turn your nose up. It's people like you in denial that's putting women like me at risk. And later in the programme, Vicky told smelly farter Potchin, can I give you some context, please, around what you're talking about? The Afghan and Eritrean sexual assault convictions. They committed 129 offences over 3 years, and that is out of a total number of convictions where the nationalities are known for. Where the nationalities are known of 16,771. So that is the context around the numbers. I just think we should deal in facts. Well, you've got to remember that our refuckers don't deal in facts, just deal in racism, don't they? And Smelly Farter Potchin was involved in a separate bust-up on Times Radio last week over unsourced claims that some Afghans brought to the UK after a Ministry of Defence data leak was convicted sex offenders. Now, I can't remember where I was. I might have been on a Maximilian Robespierre video. Could possibly be where I've seen it. That is hilarious. And she was repeating a claim originally made by Farage. Yeah, of course it was by Farage, but which Reform have provided no evidence for, and which Defence Secretary John Healey has denied. Reform sources pointed to a report in the Telegraph. Well, of course, always in the Telegraph. So if it's in the Telegraph, must be true. Claiming that some of those now being offered asylum in the UK had previously had their claims rejected because of previous violence and sexual assault claims. So yes. Yes. See what I mean? When you look at her face, She looks right. She must be the only one I know to smell her own fart and feel repulsed. Feel repulsed by it. Face like a well-slapped arse. She's not happy. Well, just goes to show that the more hatred you have in yourself, the sort of like it does affect the look on your face, doesn't it? But yes, anyway. All I will say is, she's an idiot, and I say that in the nicest possible way, I suppose. Yes, that was our cretin, that is, farty smeller, Sarah Potchin. But anyway, never mind. Right. But, oh yes. All I will say is, a Friday Frolic certainly would not be a Friday Frolic without the legend that is the one, the only, yes, Maggie Reid. Yes, yes, this is quite hilariously funny, where Trump and his goons are planning to redistrict Texas with sketchy blue lines and red flags. Yes, our American correspondent Maggie Reid has got all the details. Take it away, Maggie.
Donald, question over here! What are your exact plans to gerrymander, aka redistrict Texas, so that, in your own words, Republicans can pick up 5 more House of Representatives seats?
We're going to be doing a very concise and, very, it's going to be good.
Okay, can you elaborate on that? Like, what does that specifically look like? What the fuck is that?
Look,
Okay, well, besides that not happening, that's a terrible drawing.
well, it's not going to get much better than that.
Yeah, it's pretty bad and really stupid.
Some are bad, some are stupid, some are both.
Donald, question over here! What?
Yes, as I will say, what you could say there, professional to the end. Sorry about that. God, yeah, I'm shite today. I'm absolutely, but never mind. Not a shite of this clown here, but we'll move on. Never mind. Yes, it looks like in their desperate attempt to cling on to power, they're going to do a bit of gerrymandering, you could say. What a shocker. Who'd have thought it? They're going to partake in a bit of gerrymandering. So what's all this about? Well, let's have a look. Yes, they are. Yes, Texas legislature begins mid-decade redistricting under pressure from Trump and Abbott. Well, of course, Trump would have his fingers all over this. Yes, President Donald Trump is seeking to pick up at least 4, potentially 5 Texas congressional seats from Republicans in a midterm election cycle that ordinarily would favour the Democrats. Governor Greg Abbott, as a City fan, we used to have a footballer called Greg Abbott, and one of the best compliments that anybody ever said to him was he did his best football when the football wasn't at his feet. But anyway, the Governor Greg Abbott has obliged Trump to by adding redistricting to a crowded special session that also includes disaster recovery and preparedness. Yes, the Texas state legislators' special session opened at noon Monday. Well, that was a few days ago, wasn't it? While disaster recovery and preparedness are at the top of many Texans' minds, a rare mid-decade round of congressional redistricting will take much of lawmakers' attention over the next month. I wonder why. Texans were still absorbing the shock of the Deadly Hill County flood when Governor Greg Abbott proclaimed the agenda for the special session. Congressional redistricting sat near the bottom of a list of 18 priorities. What a shocker. Yes, this is like you're using one of the absolute worst tragedies that has hit Texas families in a long time since, like, Uvalde. And if I've butchered that, I do apologise. And use that to give yourselves a political advantage. No shit, Sherlock. Donald Trump and the Republicans would never do anything like that, would they? What kind of a craven, disgusting political manoeuvre is that? Said State Republican Gene Wu, sorry if I butchered it, from Houston, who leads the Texas House Democratic Caucus. I'll tell you what disgusting political manoeuvre is that. That is a normal Donald Trump manoeuvre. That's what he does most days. You just ask Melania. Abbott's move followed intense pressure from President Donald Trump, culminating in a letter to Abbott from the Civil Rights Division of the U.S. Department of Justice, or the DOJ. And the letter identified 4 congressional districts representing communities in which black and or Latino residents make up the majority. You do surprise me. So yes, the U.S. House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, if that's how you pronounce it, District of New York, speaking in a press conference flanked by other Democrats, congressional leaders and members of the Texas Democratic congressional delegation, blasted Trump for contributing to the Hill County disaster by firing hundreds of critical employees from the National Weather Service. Yeah, I think that will do it. But instead of addressing the serious crisis that has affected tens of thousands of lives in unthinkable ways, Donald J. Trump, House Republicans here in Washington, and Governor Abbott are conspiring to rig the Texas congressional map as part of an effort to disenfranchise millions of people in Texas, Jeffries says. And the 4 congressional districts identified in the Justice Department letter include Houston's 9th, 18th and 29th, and the Dallas-Fort Worth's 33rd. You fucking melon. The 18th district has been vacant since the death of Sylvester Turner in March. The other districts are held by Democratic representatives Al Green, Sylvia Garcia, and Mark Vaser. Is it Vaser? Vaser? I think it could be Vaser. And Representative Lloyd Doggett, another rather unfortunate name, Dean of the Texas congressional delegation, ridiculed the Justice Department's arguing, saying the fix is on. Doggett said. Did he say it doggedly? Sorry, I couldn't resist, said, and the absurdity of the justification of this redistricting of that Republican-controlled legislature led by President Donald J. Trump campaign manager in the Senate, signed by his loyal follower, get the T thing, Governor Abbott, that Republican redistricting plan discriminated against white people in Texas. Yeah, you won't believe it, would you? Not a big problem that we've ever had down there in my lifetime. Yes. And the move towards redistricting comes at a time when Texas is fighting a legal challenge of its 2021 redistricting plan in federal court, despite the Hispanic, Black and Asian population growth driving the state's overall population growth over the previous decade. And the 2021 redistricting plan did not add a single congressional district where any of these groups, either individual or in coalition, could hope to elect a representative of their choice. You had Ken Paxton, the Attorney General of the state of Texas, just a few weeks ago in open court in the record under oath, saying that there was absolute nonsense, unsubstantiated nonsense, that the state's redistricting maps previously had any kind of racial bias. Gene Wu said, and now right when Donald Trump says, "I want new maps drawn that are in favour of me," DOJ comes out with a letter saying, "Oh well, there was racial gerrymandering." Well, who's lying? Is the Attorney General Ken Paxton lying under oath, or is Donald Trump lying? Well, there's two ways you can look at it, or possibly three. Either Ken Paxton's lying and Donald Trump ain't, which I find it very difficult to believe, or Jerry Paxton isn't lying and Donald Trump is lying, which possible. I tend to lean to the bit where I just think both of them are just lying out of their backsides, aren't they? It is rather a long article. I think we'll leave it there because I think you get the general idea, don't you? It's just basically gerrymandering. You know, like, remember when the Tories tried to do the same before? Try to do a bit of gerrymandering. And whether it works or not, I don't know. But yes, that's what to be fair to our wonderful and fantastic and hilariously funny Maggie Reid, she doesn't half hit the spot. She does it really, really well. Well done, our wonderful and magnificent Maggie Reid. Yes. Now, in last week's, you could say, in last week's live stream, it could have been last week's, or it could have been possibly the week before, somebody changed the name to this certain individual who became a bit of a yes, as you can see, the name above the video. So who is Ronnie Pickering? And here are some hilarious clips that people have used to really take the piss as a bit of a light-hearted relief. Hilarious.
I admire your luck, Mr.
Pickering! Ronnie Pickering!
Come on, who are you then?
Ronnie Pickering!
Who?
Ronnie Pickering!
Who?
Ronnie Pickering!
Who the fuck's that?
Yeah, me!
Whoa! Brilliant!
I don't know who you are.
Ronnie Pickering!
I don't know what you want.
Fucking found holding!
If you were looking for ransom, I can tell you I don't have money.
Let's have a bare knuckle fight then!
But what I do have are a very particular set of skills.
You want to have a fight or what?
Skills I've acquired over a very long career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people like you.
You fucking muppet, no need for that!
If you let my daughter go now, that'll be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you.
Come on.
But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will kill you.
Wait! Who are you?
Ronnie Pickering!
You know who I am? We'll be asking the questions, old man. Who are you?
Ronnie Pickering!
Just answer the damn questions. Who are you?
Ronnie Pickering!
Are you deaf?
Ronnie Pickering!
And I'm about to whoop your old ass, man, because I'm sick of playing games.
Ronnie Pickering, yes, the legend. That is our Ronnie Pickering. Absolutely hilarious. And I saw the somebody say with the name who is Ronnie Pickering, and I saw that a couple of days ago. It just reminded me of that. But yeah, that man, absolute legend, isn't he? Now, this is just absolutely hilarious. Yes. This is just absolutely hilarious. I have to say. I think what we'll do is we'll do something a little bit different to so how we've been doing it before. And yes, let's just say that I think you can. Sorry, well, the title basically is this the craziest debate Mehdi has ever done? Yes, for the viral YouTube surrounded series, Zito's editor-in-chief goes up against, well, I think that's how they pronounce it, Zito's, or is it Zito, or whatever, yeah, goes up against 20 far-right conservatives, extremists, fascists, on Trump's immigration, Gaza and US Constitution. Now let's just say, if you've not seen it, it's absolutely fucking mental. Now, I'm not going to play it, but let's just get into it, because it's just hilarious. In most of the debates you've seen Mehdi participating, the numbers are even on both sides. The discussion is more often than not civil-ish. And the arguments tend to be mostly grounded in reality. This is not one of these debates. As part of Jubilee's online series surrounded, Mehdi was the only progressive pitted against 20 far-right conservatives. What could possibly go wrong? Perhaps a generous and polite description of the actual political leanings, as you will quickly find out, with one proudly identifying as a fascist and many of them making openly racist and reactionary remarks. You don't say. Oh dear, this is just absolutely, was just absolutely bonkers. Each of the far-right conservatives took turns attempting to challenge a set of claims made by Mehdi, and one after another they simply refused to engage in the logic of his arguments. Instead, they responded to facts about Trump's extremism with extremism of their own, including calling for Mehdi to get the hell out of the US and telling him he's not an American. Yes, this is it. This is Trump's base. Sure enough. And throughout this episode, you will hear conservatives say that white people in the US are the real Native Americans. That Nazis may not have been that bad, and that white genocide is real, and one of them even tried to defend and justify Israel's deliberate killing of children in Gaza. Yes, what a lovely bunch of people out there. The conservatives are liberal to me. That's how far to the right I am, said one far-right debater. Our editor-in-chief, of course, gave as good as he got and brought a ton of receipts, and yet, to most in the circle of conservatives, it seemed that facts don't matter. And that's exactly how it is, isn't it? It's not about the facts, baby. It's the feelings. And also, the facts don't matter. Immigrants are evil and and when in doubt, quote a Nazi theoretician like Carl Schmitt. Yes. This surrounding debate was organised and hosted by Jubilee Media, which chose the participants, with Mehdi meeting them for the first time in the studio itself. He was genuinely not aware of how extreme many of them would be. Mehdi proposed 4 claims to be debated for 20 minutes each, and then at the end chose one of the far-right conservatives to come forward for 10 minutes and make their own claim for him to rebut. That's the typical surrounded format. Yes, it is. I've seen 1 or 2 people do it, and mate, it's just nuts, isn't it? But yes. So, let's just say I managed to get 1 or 2 interesting clips that are just so funny. Well, this is just so... Well, let's just say, you could say they are quite bonkers. Especially this guy. Where it's like, yes, I'm just trying to read what it is. Yes, he's basically... This is... Because, like, let's be honest, if you are going to basically... If you're going... It's alright. Right. It's like, I'll just basically just realised I got a message from somebody, that was all. Don't worry about it, but, yes. Let's just say, you can tell straight away, right from the offset of this, I know it's 6 minutes, but it's just bonkers. It's absolutely bonkers. It gets off to a brilliant start because it just basically shows you what a odious little turd this man is.
Mehdi.
What is it?
Mehdi.
You're from northern UK, I guess?
I'm from London, North London.
Okay, fair enough. What's your ethnic background, if you don't mind my asking?
My parents are from India.
Okay, perfect. Just getting premise here. First of all...
Yeah, exactly. It kind of reminds me of that joke, where we did in last week's Friday Frolic, where that guy bumps into that female jogger and says, and basically saying, "Where are you from?" She went, "Orange County." And said, "No, but where are you from?" It kind of reminds me of that when she turns the table on him, she's doing, from British. Oh, watch your mate and doing apple and pears and all that sort of stuff. So you know where this is going. Hilarious.
I want to say
the premise of Donald Trump being pro-crime.
No. I want to concern myself with why you care about what's happening in the U.S. first and foremost. Secondly, I want to say this:
should people who live in the U.S. not care about?
Let's not interrupt each other because I have this thing. People know I have this thing. I have to stay calm. Okay. Here's the thing. I am happy that he released J6. In fact, so much so that I was prepared to protest if he didn't. Okay. So when you say, are you okay that he's pro-crime? Sure, because you know what? We're changing the definition of what crime is, first and foremost.
You don't think stomping on police officers' heads is a crime?
I don't think it's no longer a relevant conversation anymore. You're
really?
arguing. No, it's not, because you know what? Okay, have you seen the U.S. in the last 4 or 5 years?
Yes, I've
BLM protests. Have you seen? Okay, I myself have been involved in these protests. I've seen egregious things that you couldn't even imagine.
Anyone think he's been to Vietnam? Yeah, look at his face. He's thinking, oh, I've got a proper nutter here. He's fucking mental. I didn't know America was a war zone.
So we
being
have no
done to
rules then?
conservatives. It's not about that. It's about tribal warfare.
Okay.
That's where we're at in the U.S. I don't know where you're at in the U.K. You're from India, so I don't really.
I'm not from India.
Oh, you're sorry. Your parents are from India, so
I'm an American
you
citizen.
have your own stakes.
I'm an American, you know.
You're an American citizen?
Yes.
Okay, fair enough. I don't know how
Yes.
you got that, but fair enough. Here's the thing.
Are you an American citizen?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
Not sure how you got that. Okay.
Born here.
Okay.
Born here, and my family lineage is settlers from the 1500s, so I have some stake in the claim here. Okay.
But you're
a little different.
But you're
than
a
yours.
descendant of immigrants, settlers,
Yes. No.
colonialists.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You know where it's going, where we're going here.
Colonials.
You don't look very Native American to me.
I am Native American.
No,
Whites
you're
are
not.
Native Americans. What are
Sorry,
you talking about?
you're not.
What are you talking about?
You're
Whites
not.
are Native Americans.
Really?
I think
What was
you're-
happening before the 1500s?
Your ethnic background,
Oh,
if you
you
don't mind
twat.
asking.
My parents.
That it's
What's it
about
about?
tribal warfare.
Okay.
That's where we're at in the U.S. I don't know where you're at in the U.K. You're from India, so I don't really.
I'm not from India.
Oh, you sorry. Your parents are
Yeah.
from India, so
I'm an American
you have
citizen.
your own stakes.
I'm an American, you know.
You're an American citizen? Okay,
Yes.
fair enough. I don't know how
Yes.
you got that, but fair enough. Here's the thing.
Are you an American citizen?
Absolutely.
Okay.
But here's the thing.
Not sure how you got that. Okay.
Born here.
Okay.
Born here, and my family lineage is settlers from the 1500s, so I have some stake in the
Okay.
claim here. Okay.
But you're
a little different.
But you're
than
a
yours.
descendant of immigrants.
Yes.
Settlers.
I didn't know.
Colonialists.
Yeah,
You don't
colonials.
look, you don't look very Native American to me.
I am Native American. Whites
not.
are Native Americans. What
Sorry.
Yes, whites. That's the reason why I just about to stop there, because I thought to myself, did I hear what he just said? Whites are Native Americans. What a dickhead, eh?
are you talking about?
You're not.
What are you talking about?
You're
Whites
not.
are Native Americans.
Really?
I think
What was
you're-
happening before the
I
1500s?
think you're getting confused with it.
I don't mind going on a tangent, but what was happening before the 1500s?
Calm down. I think you're getting.
What was happening before the 1500s?
There was indigenous people here that
Yeah.
came here from
Do you know
Asia.
what indigenous means?
Listen, before
Indigenous
America,
people
Let-
can't
you
come
let
from
me
somewhere
finish?
else.
Why do you ask a question if you're going to interrupt?
I'm not sure if you know what the meaning of indigenous means.
I do know what it means. It,
Doesn't
it
sound
means
like
they
it.
came here
Doesn't-
first,
yeah, no, he
right? They came here
doesn't.
from.
He clearly doesn't, does he? He doesn't get it because he doesn't want to have a conversation, does he? Sorry for the noise. He doesn't want to have a conversation. He just wants to spew his monologue and bile and drivel and try and insult Midi as much as he can.
From Asia by way of land bridge. Have an argument with Neil deGrasse Tyson or anybody else about that. I don't care.
Is he an American?
I genuinely don't care. Yes, he is.
Okay, just checking.
My point is, okay.
Nothing to do with crime. So far, you've agreed with me that these people
Because
are
you're
criminals.
derailing, dude. I'm trying
You
to stay
literally
on track.
sat down and asked me where
no,
I'm from. I think you
I
derailed this
think you got
conversation.
offended by that,
did.
but I'm because
I'm not
always
offended. I'm
curious,
just wondering what it has
because
to do with
I'm
crime.
always curious.
We're going to talk about
why-
immigration. Don't worry. Later on, you can come back.
I hope so.
Right now, you're doing a very bad job of making the case that he's not pro-crime
I just
and
got a
pro-criminal.
round of applause. I could probably get another one actually if I asked for it.
No, he doesn't.
Wow.
So I don't think I'm
Is this
doing
how
as
you
bad.
get rounds of applause? You sit in a room with 20 people who agree with you. Wow, amazing.
I'm
amazing. That
well,
must
wait
make you
till
feel
this comes
good.
out. You know what? I'm
20
actually
people who
glad
agree
you're
with
getting
you
this
applauded you.
emotionally outraged right
Wow.
now. This is great.
I love it.
Do I have to say anything?
See that little flag that just popped up? I think that's a bit of a case that when people have basically had enough and think, get this fuckwit off, it starts to go red, and it does visibly start to go red rather quickly.
At this point, or are you just going
Please.
to keep going?
No, please.
Okay.
Make your claim.
My claim is that I don't care if it's pro-crime. You
Okay,
want to go
so
back
you-
to the
so I-
topic
so I-
of
so I-
conversation?
that's fine, we agree then. He's pro-crime
But
and you
I have
don't
a
care.
question for you, though. Do you care on the opposite side of the spectrum?
Yes.
Do you care about law being administered
Yes.
to the opposite side of the
Yes,
spectrum?
I think
when they're
anyone
doing
who
the same?
assaults a police officer shouldn't be pardoned. I think that
Exactly.
Donald Trump shouldn't have pardoned 9 Republican members of Congress who were convicted of crimes, and I don't think Joe Biden should commit. I don't think Democrats should pardon Democrats.
Fair, but I don't
We
think
both
you
agree.
understand where we are in the U.S. then.
See, the thing is, that's what I find interesting. It's like, I'm always the same. And I totally agree with Mehdi there when he said that if you're going to break the law, you should feel the full weight of the law. And I've noticed, and it's the same with the guys on Refuck as well and all that. You know, these were the same people who were demanding that, you know, like any sign of Antifa, you know, who were, you know, going on these marches, you know, for anything like, you know, like the George Floyd thing. They wanted them thrown in jail, you know, beheaded, hung, drawn and quartered and all that nonsense. But because you've got white nationalists wandering around hotels full of asylum seekers, they're just concerned citizens and concerned families, you know. they're only just handing out white supremacy leaflets and stuff like that. The hypocrisy of these people, it just knows no bounds, does it?
I think I do.
No, because you're arguing from a position of like a U.S. that doesn't exist anymore. Okay. We're headed towards
nihilism, no laws, nothing matters.
It's not about
everyone's pro-crime.
It's not about that. It's that conservatives conservatives for too long.
I've noticed that it's starting to go red now.
They've been playing it safe. They've been playing by the
Really?
law. They've been playing
by the law.
Yes, they have.
Maybe you missed the Bush presidency. Did you live here during the Bush years?
Conservatives are
Didn't
so
play by
concerned.
the law, George W. Bush. Nor did Ronald Reagan.
Let's be respectful to you. Let me finish.
I'm not sure you've been that respectful, but okay.
I'm trying to bring it back.
No, you're
let's
not.
both bring it back.
Let's
Okay.
do it.
I'm conservative. Okay.
Really?
Let me tell you this. We do play it too safe. We've been playing it by the book for too long. Okay. At this point, gloves are off, right? The left has made their point. They're willing to
the police force in Washington, the left?
Yes, he gets himself into all sorts of a mess here.
Yes!
Why
Are you kidding me? The left? Are you insane?
Police officers.
Look at LA right here. You think those stand down?
You think the LAPD are a bunch of liberal Marxists?
No, but I think they listen to liberal Marxists who tell them what to do.
Okay.
Mental. They're absolutely mental, aren't they? Absolutely bonkers. The only way I'm keep jumping in because I don't want to get flagged. Again, that's all. But yeah, apparently the police take orders from the liberal left, and police are full of Marxists.
I think they listen to who signs their paychecks at the end of the day.
Can I just check, because you're doing lots of little diversions. We both agree Donald Trump's pro-crime, you're just fine with it.
No,
is that the position?
I don't
That's what you've said so far for about 5 minutes.
I don't agree with your definition
What's
of
your
crime.
definition of crime?
It doesn't
Stomping
matter.
on a police officer's head is not a crime. That's your definition of crime as the Native American.
I am Native American.
If you say so.
So
Still doesn't get it, does he? And he looks like he's just basically contorting himself into all sorts of shapes to try and defend the indefensible. They're mental, are they?
So, going back to the topic at hand, we have different definitions of crime because you're talking about...
There's a criminal code in this country. It's called the U.S. Criminal Code.
You know what? Let's focus on what we agree on. I'm sure you and I actually agree on a lot more.
Do we agree
than you
that
realize.
people shouldn't stomp on police officers' heads? Can we agree on that? If you don't agree on that, then I really think this conversation is kind of pointless.
Because first of all, you're saying what? That the police have the authority, that they're given the authority? I don't accept the authority that's been given by liberal
conservative position.
Yeah.
I'm not a conservative or pro-police.
Then you don't...
Yeah, exactly. They're only pro-police when it suits them, doesn't it?
We know what a real... Hey, listen, you're in a room with juggernauts right now, okay? I'm telling you right now, you are going to be blown open if you think that my
if we're going to
position
struggle
is
with the
right,
English language
you
for the
have
next
no
couple of
idea
hours, then
what
we'll
you're up
struggle.
against right now, okay?
100%.
Yeah. Newsflash, the conservatives are liberal to me, okay? Neocons, the libertarians...
Said that in the article, didn't it? Yeah, the conservative liberal to me. I bet he wouldn't be saying that if he was black.
All those mainstream people, there might as well be leftists to me, okay? That's how far to the right I am. Do you understand my position?
So when I kind of guessed it when you sat down.
Say, about obeying police, why would I give the authority to police? Do you know here in America?
Do you think Donald Trump should be pardoning 9 members of Congress who committed financial crimes? Are you pro-financial crime?
Do you know
pro-financial crime?
All right,
Thomas
pause.
Timbo is?
Pause.
I think the people who clapped you have voted you out.
All right. Head back to your seat. You've been voted out by the majority.
Nice to meet you.
That's what it says here. Oh, I don't say it. Oh, dear. But yes. Yes, those people who, let's just say that were clapping him are now voting him out because he was a complete and utter barncake, wasn't he? But anyway. That's how mental it was. But yes, you get the idea. And yes, you got the idea on that one, didn't you? I did have another one, but it's another 4 minutes.
Today,
Well, I had another video, but it's on the same thing, but it's another 4 minutes. You get the idea of what was going on. But yeah, it was when he just basically spent 4 minutes humiliating some Trump fuck nugget. Don't want to watch that again because, saying enough, you get the idea. But anyway, again, our commander-in-chief, you could say, he seen as though trying to accuse Barack Obama of being treasonous and treacherous, they've come out with a new plan to distract people from. They came out with a new plan to distract from the Epstein files, and let's just say this is hilarious. And again, no Friday Frolic wouldn't be a Friday Frolic without the legendary JL Calvin, and absolutely brilliant. And let him explain this new distraction that our commander-in-chief has come out with to distract the MAGA loons from the Epstein files.
So finally today, after I issued a very powerful executive order, the big file on the assassination of Martin Lawrence King, You're So Crazy, was released, and there's a lot of big things in there. There's a lot of important information I think that we need because we love truth. I have a site called Truth Social, so you got to have truth. How do you have a site named Truth Social and then you don't do truth? People expect and demand truth. So it's part of an operation called Operation Smokescreen. Now, a lot of people in the fake news media are looking for Epstein files. Now, there's no Epstein. This is all bullshit. But to prove that I think it's totally bullshit, I'm going to every day until the story goes away release gigantic files of headlines that will, of stories that will get big headlines from all the news, and we'll cover that. Like, did you know Martin Lawrence King, before he did the show Martin, was having orgies? You know, he had a dream, and I think it was a wet dream because he was with a lot of women. Nobody talks about that. Oh, they all talk about the civil rights and the preaching, but he wasn't perfect, and I think we need to know that. And when you're thinking, well, Martin Lawrence King wasn't perfect, then how can I expect anybody, even Donald J. Trump, to be perfect and avoid sex parties with youth on islands with Jeff Epstein? How can you? It's hypocritical. It's hypothetical when people do that. It's hypothetical, Hippocratic. It's bad. It's called bad. So we'll release Area 51 tomorrow, and hopefully some of the aliens were having sex with teenagers, because then that will take more heat off of the fake story. It's a fake story about me. And then we're going to do Kennedy assassination and talk about a guy who was having sex. So, you know, basically, even if the stories are true about me, which they of course are not, but even if they're true, we'll release so many things that people will say, well, maybe it's not so bad what Trump did. And then by next week, we're just going to be releasing snuff porn on the White House website, bestiality and other such things, and possibly torture video. Basically, real version of the movie Saw and Human Centipede. We're actually gonna film some of that stuff just to put it out to distract, because the Epstein story is a total hoax. Only stupid people believe it, and horrible people promote it. Bye bye.
Yes, bye bye. Yes. So yes, that's what they, in their infinite with desperation to basically, you could say, to basically distract from the Epstein files. The new one that they're coming out with is, yes, we're going to release the Martin Luther King, or should I say the Martin Lawrence King Jr. files. Unbelievable. Yes, And apparently even his even against the family opposition oppose the idea. Yes. Trump officials release FBI records on Martin Lawrence King Jr., despite his family's opposition, with about 200,000 pages of surveillance records released despite objection from, we all know about that. Yes. The Trump administration has released records of their FBI surveillance of Martin Luther King, or as we say, as Trump would say, Martin Lawrence King Jr. And the release involves an estimated, we all know that, that have been under a court-imposed seal since 1977, when the FBI first gathered the records and turned them over to the National Archives and Records Administration. The document on the murder of the civil rights leader was posted on a government website as critics and supporters of Donald Trump continue to call for him to honour a different campaign promise: the release of files from federal investigation into Jeffrey Epstein. You need to realise why you're talking about Jeffrey Epstein. Why? Why are you talking? He's dead. He's dead. Martin Lawrence King is far more important than a dead Jeffrey Epstein. And ignore the fact that his wife's in prison for nothing. She did nothing wrong. Yes, the files of the federal investigation into Jeffrey Epstein, the convicted sex offender Trump socialised with for more than 15 years. But of course, he never saw anything dodgy going on. Not once in all them 15 years, honest. King's family included his two children, Martin III and Bernice, were given advance notice of the release and had their own teams reviewing the records in advance of the public disclosure. Two of his children have appealed to the public to engage with the documents with empathy, restraint and respect for our family's continued grief. The release of these files must be viewed within their full historical context, wrote Martin Luther King III and Dr. Bernice A. King. In a statement, during our father's lifetime, he was relentlessly targeted by an evasive, predatory and deeply disturbing disinformation and surveillance campaign orchestrated by J. Edgar Hoover through the Federal Bureau of Investigation. They also repeated the family's long-held contention that James Earl Ray, and I thought they were going to say James Earl Jones, then I thought, my God, it gets everywhere. Contention that James Earl Ray, the man convicted of assassinating King, was not solely responsible, if at all. Interesting. Now, the reason why I say it's interesting, it's not something I've really looked up and took interest in. Maybe something I might actually do for a bit of interest. But Bernice King was 5 years old when her father was killed, and at the age of 39, and Martin III was 10. The intent of the government's COINTELPRO campaign was not only to monitor but to discredit, dismantle and destroy Dr. King's reputation and the broader American civil rights movement. These actions were not only invasions of privacy, but intentional assaults on the truth. Undermining the dignity and freedoms of private citizens who fought for justice, designed to neutralise those who dared to challenge the status quo. And the murder of civil rights leaders' children also write that they believe that their father was killed as part of a conspiracy that involved unnamed co-conspirators, including government agencies. Now, while we support transparency and historical accountability, we object to any attacks on our father's legacy or attempts to weaponise it to spread falsehoods. They said, I nearly went into a Trump impersonation then. We strongly condemn any attempts to misuse these documents in ways intended to undermine our father's legacy and the significant achievements of the movement. Those who promote the fruit of the FBI surveillance will unknowingly line themselves with an ongoing campaign to degrade our father and the civil rights movement. And some civil rights activists were not so supportive of the release. Trump's administration. God, my pins are getting worse, but we will soldier on. Trump's releasing the MLK assassination files is not about transparency or justice, said the Reverend Al Sharpton. That's an unusual name, Sharpton. It's a desperate attempt to distract people from the firestorm engulfing Trump over the Epstein files and the public unravelling of his credibility among the MAGA base. No shit, Sherlock. You've solved the case. Your face ain't full of empty knickers, Reverend Al Sharpton, on here. You won't win any prizes for that observation, will you? The King Centre, founded by King's widow and now led by Bernice King, reacted separately from what Bernice said jointly with her brother. The King Centre statement framed the release as a distraction, but from more than short-term political controversy. It is unfortunate and ill-timed given the myriad of pressing issues and injustices affected in the United States and their global society, said the King Centre, linking those challenges to MLK's efforts. The righteous work should be our collective response to renewed attention on the assassination of a great purveyor, of true peace. And Donald Trump promised as a candidate to release files related to John F. Kennedy 1963 assassination. When the president took office in January, he signed an executive order to declassify the JFK records along with those associated with Robert F. Kennedy's and King's 1968 assassinations. And the government unsealed the JFK records in March and disclosed some RFK files in April. The King records were initially intended to be sealed until 2027. I suppose it could work both ways, you know. I suppose you could say, so why don't you just wait till 2027? What difference does it make now? And I suppose you could say, well, it's only 2 years to wait. What difference does it make now? So I suppose it's either way. But I think we get the reason why they've decided to do it early. I think we all know. Because our detective, Reverend Al Sharpton, he's on the case. He knows the score. Until Justice Department attorney asked a federal judge to lift the sealing order early. Scholars, history buffs and journalists have been preparing to study the documents for new information about his assassination on the 4th of April 1968 in Memphis, Tennessee. King was assassinated as he was aiding striking sanitation workers in Memphis, part of his explicit turn towards economic justice. Ray pleaded guilty to King's murder, and Ray later renounced that plea and maintained his innocence until his death in 1998. And members of King's family and others have long questioned whether Ray acted alone, or if he was even involved. Now the mystery does deepen, doesn't it? Coretta Scott King asked for the inquiry to be reopened and in 1998, then Attorney General Janet Reno directed the Justice Department Civil Rights Division to take a new look. Reno's department said it found nothing to disturb the 1969 judicial determination that James Earl Ray murdered Dr. King. And in their latest statement, Bernice King and Martin Luther King III repeated their assertions that Ray was set up. They pointed to a 1999 civil case brought by the King family, in which a Memphis jury concluded that Martin Luther King Jr. had been the target of a conspiracy. Saying, as we review these newly released files, the King said, we will assess whether they offer additional insights beyond the findings our family has already accepted. So, yes, in his desperate attempt to distract from the Epstein files, which I think we all know is clearly not working, are they? They're not going away. Now, I sure I saw a little bit of a thumbnail from somewhere, I can't remember where it was, saying that even, I forgot the name of that clown who was wearing all that fur outfit on the January 6th, is it the Shaman or whatever, or something, even he's turned on our Trumple thin-skinned. So I think we know what's going to happen here. They're not going to get rest until they are released, and he's going to do his absolute level best to make sure that they are not released. But anyway, just give us a quick sec. There you go. You can see me in much more light than this fine figure of a man whose body's falling to pieces, but that's for another day. But yes, jolly interesting. I'll be interested to see how that goes, but let's be honest, they're not buying it, are they? I can't remember where I've heard a bit of it, of an American, bit of a radio type show thing, where the host, I've forgotten his name now, it's quite well known, massive MAGA nutter. He basically he was taking calls on one clown, proper crying on the phone. I think I watched, I think it was a bit of a Vosh video. I just watched it with interest, and the guy on the phone was proper crying, and I thought, great spot actually, because he said the guy who I've forgotten his name now, who's doing the show, you know, it's all he's doing is all it is for him is the grift, where the guy practically crying down the phone, because they honestly believe it. They actually believe that they're more genuine, where the other guy clearly, and it was just part of the grift. And that's the trouble when you stoke the fire of conspiracy theories and then try to tell them that there's nothing to see here. They're not going to buy it, are they? And they're certainly, it's going to add more to their mistrust into it, and they're not going to let it go. Yes, now this is very, very interesting. Yes, let's just say, one thing that always makes me giggle about you could say that earlier on in their administration, the Trump base, you know, it was always about basically freedom of speech, you know, we gotta have freedom of speech, cancel culture and all that. And all you ever seem to hear is cancel culture. And yes, a certain individual has been cancelled, hasn't he? Yes, a certain Mr. Colbert. Now, I watched him with with a lot of humour from the 2016 election, and he got me through the 4 years, you know, taking the ride, because let's be honest, having to watch that clown run around acting like a complete moron, it's not easy, is it? But anyway, yes, he's been cancelled. And yes, but we'll get into the reasons why in a bit. Yes, but here was his defiant message.
On Friday, Donald Trump posted, "I absolutely love that Colbert got fired. His talent was even less than his ratings."
How dare you, sir? Would an untalented man be able to compose the following satirical witticism? Go f yourself. On Friday.
Yes, exactly. Quite right. Go fuck yourself. But yes, unbelievable. Yes. Yes, the people who were, let's just say they are supposed to be the purveyors of free speech and all that, and they're basically, you could say, cancel somebody because they basically don't like what he does. So yes, our dear, that'll get me. Well, that's a bit better, isn't it? Yeah, that's a bit better. Yes. Oh, we figured that out. I think that'll do, won't it? That'll do. But yes. Stephen Colbert declares gloves are off as cancelled Late Show host takes aim at Trump. Yes. Yes. As his fellow hosts lined up to defend him, with Jon Stewart scathingly denouncing Paramount for trying to censor and control its host. Colbert, the top-rated late night show host, in the US, said last night on his CBS show Late Night, which he took over from David Letterman in 2015. So it's about 10 years ago, isn't it? That Paramount's decision to pay a £16 million settlement to Trump over another flagship CBS show, 60 Minutes, amounted to a big fat bribe. What a shock. CBS is part of Paramount, which needs the Trump-controlled Federal Communications Commission to approve its £8 billion sale of Skydance. Yes. So it's basically just follow the money, isn't it? Paramount pulled the plug 3 days later when Trump reveled, with Trump reveling in the firing of one of his most prolific detractors, posting on his Truth social platform, I absolutely love the card that Colbert got fired. Rich Colbert come out swinging on Monday telling Trump to go fuck himself. Well, go fuck yourself. He joked that it had always been his dream to have a sitting president celebrate the end of his career. They're pointing out that last Monday, just 2 days before my cancellation, I delivered a blistering monologue in which I showed that courage to have a moustache, he joked. I mean, obviously CBS saw my upper lip and boom, cancelled. Coincidence? Oh, I think not. This is worse than fascism. This is stackism. Stashism, that's it, yes. Get the teeth in. Yes, absolutely, Stephen Colbert. This is stashism. And an anonymous leak over the weekend, CBS had appeared to suggest The Late Show lost $40 million to $50 million last year. Colbert joked that he could account for losing $24 million annually. Where would Paramount have possibly spent the other $16 million, he joked. Oh yeah. In a gesture of solidarity, Colbert's fellow late night show hosts last week. Tonight's John Oliver, late night Seth Meyers, and the Daily Show's Jon Stewart all showed up for a joke on Monday night's episode. They were joined by other entertainers and journalists, including Lin-Manuel Miranda, Weird Al Yankovic. I've got a couple of records of him. I still remember when he was taking the piss out of the Titanic. when he's getting both to fart. Give it some leverage. You do better than that. That's pitiful, he says. Jack says to her. Hilarious. And Andy Cohen, Anderson Cooper, Adam Sadler, and Christopher McDonald. Meanwhile, Stewart, who gave Colbert his late night start in the 1990s, issued a blistering attack of his own on Monday's episode of The Daily Show, which is also part of Paramount. Stewart lambasted its decision to cancel Colbert's show, saying the fact that CBS don't try to save their number one rated late night franchise that's been on the air for over 3 decades is part of what's making everyone wonder. Well, yeah. Stewart said on his Comedy Central programme, was this purely financial or maybe the path of least resistance for your £8 billion I Yes, I think he's onto something there, isn't he? Yes. Yes, I think that's what it was, just the path of least resistance. He also added, if you believe as corporations or as networks that you can make yourselves so innocuous that you can serve a cruel or flavourless that you will believe that you don't seem to sound right, that you can make yourself so innocuous that you can serve a cruel or flavourless that you will never again be on the Boy King's radar. On the Boy King's radar. Why would anyone watch you? And you are fucking wrong. I kind of get the drift he's trying to say, but it was just a little bit weird way of saying it, but I get the drift. I do know. And Stewart then led a choir and the audience in a chant to "Go fuck yourself," directed at corporations who bent the knee to Trump. Oh, yes, well done. And over on the Tonight Show, host Jimmy Fallon noted that viewers were planning to boycott the network over the decision. CBS could lose millions of viewers plus tens of hundreds watching on Paramount. He joked. Very funny. And on-air Colbert was visibly moved after his guest and actor Sandra Oh. I've not watched many films, so it's not a name I'm familiar with. Proclaimed a plague on CBS and Paramount, paying tribute to his work, speaking truth to power while staying funny. Yes, because let's be honest, if you don't laugh in these days, you'll cry. Skipping a promised question and answer section after the taping of Monday's show, Colbert told his studio audience, "I was nervous about coming out here," and added, "I will miss you." Yes, I have to say, I will miss him because I have found his shows hilariously funny. And outside the headquarters of the Late Show, which is taped at Midtown Manhattan, Ed Sullivan Theatre, protesters held placards that said, "Colbert stays, Trump must go." I totally agree. Absolutely. Audience member Elizabeth Knott, a 48-year-old high school teacher, called Colbert's firing terrible. Surely you can do better than that, Elizabeth. It's really awful that it's come to that in this country where companies feel the need to obey in advance. It's really awful. Well, like as Jon Stewart said, the path of resistance if I've got the words right. You know what I mean. But how interesting. But yes, how very, very interesting. We are just wondering, who is next? Who will be next? Will it be Jon Stewart? Will it be Jimmy Kimmel? Jimmy Kimmel? What? Get his name right in the end. Seth Meyers? Could be one of the others. You know, if they say something that the Mango Mussolini doesn't like, I'm pretty much sure he will find some way to basically find a way to get him fired, because we know how thin-skinned our Mango Mussolini is. but yes, but anyway, let's go back to another bit of an article that's quite interesting, and I think we could possibly make it the final one. Maybe so. Might squeeze one more, and we'll see. But yes, now we've noticed that a certain let's just say well, we had the certain group of Sarah Porchin, you know, spreading lies, and then we have one of you could say Ray Fox, youngest yes, this guy, yes, he's Ray Fox UK council leader who is a teenager, closes the door on Channel 4 News, who tried to ask him about the £500 million budget he's now in charge of. And it's a short clip, but it kind of gives you a little bit of an insight. This is how they'll be operating, won't they?
The Reform UK teenager who's become one of the youngest to run a local authority with a budget of over £500 million.
Finch, can we just have a quick word? Just your reaction to being elected as councillor?
What's up, can't go
Council leader? Anything to say to the people of Warwickshire? Councillor Finch?
No.
The Reform UK...
Yeah, in other words, no. One thing I did find quite interesting was this bit. There's a certain young lady, watch this bit.
UK teenager who's become one of the youngest to run a local authority with a budget of over £500 million.
Watch what she does. This is interesting.
Finch, can we just have a...
Yeah, she runs away. Why is she running away from the camera? She wasn't having an affair. You know, she wasn't on a date there, was she, or something? Having an affair and got caught on camera. Like that couple from Coldplay. Who knows? But yes, now... It's when I saw that, I thought, no, I don't know whether there's anything in that. Could be something or nothing, but what I did find now, we know our dear friend Bowler Hatman. He basically did a live stream where basically was, you could say, watching it. And he was watching it, you know, where he's been voted in, and let's just say they're just fucking nuts out there. Well, let's just say, yes, Reform councillors criticised over after voting to spend £150,000 on political advisors. Yes. Yes, as I say, they're going to spend £150,000 £50,000 on hiring political advisors to county council, despite pledging to cut waste and save money. The plans were put forward by Refuck councillor George Finch. Yeah. And you look at the haircut and all, you're saying it proper looks right, looks a little bit Nazi-esque as well, doesn't it? A 19-year-old who was narrowly elected as the leader of Warwickshire County Council during a meeting on Tuesday, which was picketed by protesters. That's not a good sign, is it? And one thing I noticed when they were doing the vote, it were a tie, wasn't it? And it was given to the chairman who to decide. And which party was he from? Yes, he was a refucker as well. So we think we know who he was going to vote for. Now, the plans were put forward by Reform Councillor George. Oh yeah, the protest came after a row over an attempt by Finch as interim leader to have a pride flag removed from council headquarters before the end of Pride Month, and the chief executive refused the request, telling him she was responsible for such decisions. Yeah, exactly. You know, one thing you can say about Refuck, you can definitely say about the Refuckers that they are on the ball with the cut and thrust of the important decisions that are required in council meetings. You know, improving public services. We'll get back to that. Pride flags, they said, gotta get all over that. Pathetic, aren't they? However, there were fresh controversy during a meeting of the council, one of several where Reform became the largest party in the recent local elections, as it narrowly pushed through plans to hire political advisors, but lost a separate vote relating to the climate crisis. Oh, what a shame. Opposition councillors accused Reform of reneging on promise, reneging. Sorry about that. Yeah, of reneging on promises to voters over the political advisors who would be publicly funded for it, and the other two largest parties, the Conservatives and the Liberal Democrats. Now, I have to say, I think another party, another group of councillors, judging by what I witnessed on Bowler Hatman's live stream, I think the Conservative councillors have a lot to answer for, because when it came to it, they abstained. Why did they abstain? I think it was the second round of voting. Why did they abstain? So interesting. But anyway, these proposals are all about spending some money so they can have a chum in their group, and I think that is not particularly helpful given the financial state of this council, said George Coucher, councillor and deputy leader of the Liberal Democrats, and he added that it was almost a quarter of a way through the financial year and there had yet to be any proposals from Reform about managing the authority budget. Now, when it came to hearing about this, their excuses for, saying that, yes, we will do things better, but we'll cut your taxes. We will do things differently. And all I've heard from saying the reason why we're doing this is because every other council does the same thing. So I'm thinking, well, I thought you said you were going to do things differently. Don't sound like it, does it? But anyway, Sam Jones, a Green Party councillor, said Reform had a sniff of power. They're making it so clear that they never cared a jot for the will of their supporters, not to overpaid unelected bureaucrats before the election, but yes to up to £150,000 of unfunded spending on political assistance now the campaign is over. Very good point. Finch defended the plans, of course he would do, which would involve a political assistant for each of the three big parties on the basis that it was permitted by legislation and occurred in other councils. See what I mean? I thought you were supposed to do things differently. Doesn't sound like it. From what I've heard, you cry victimhood and then say, well, the reason why we're doing this, we need to do this because every other council's doing the same. So what you're basically saying, you're just going to carry on as normal. If other parties were against it, he challenged them to vote against the plan and then choose not to hire political assistance. His colleague, the councillor Michael Bannister, said the party saw the move as value for money and funds will be found from elsewhere. I'd be interested to see where they're going to get it from. However, there was a defeat for reform when opposition councillors supported a Green motion to recognise the scientific evidence clearly states climate change is happening and support the council's 2019 vote to declare a climate emergency. Oh yes, I heard some of their claims, and to say it was hilarious is an understatement. I can tell you that for nothing now. We are here as local people sorting out local problems. It is ridiculous to be asking for anything else, said Reform Councillor Luke Cooper, who said he had experience in installing solar panels and measures that he said people could not afford. And Sarah Feeney, the Labour leader, said the climate crisis is not a hypothetical and was already having a major impact on farmers, with flooding causing elderly people to sometimes barricade themselves in their homes. And Tracy Drew, a Green Party councillor, said the least well off in our country are going to be the first and the most to be impacted by the effects of climate change. And outside the council meeting, demonstrators included Becky Davidson, a district councillor who said she was there to support the LGBT community. Finch was using a marginalised community as a propaganda tool. What a shocker! Well, she's not wrong, is she? There when I listened to somebody said that if you don't sort this out now, we will be paying shit tons later on. And I think there is something in that. Well, I'm no climate expert, but I do believe in climate change, and it's man-made and all that, and it kind of makes sense to me. But anyway, Carolyn, a resident of Stratford-upon-Avon, was holding a placard reading, "Donald Trump inspires Farage to import to the UK DEI division exclusion equality." She said she was worried about reform overturning policies around recognising the climate emergency, and that she was there to object to Finch's pettiness over the pride flag. Good on you, love. Well done to Caroline. Round of applause. And quite rightly. It just shows you the pettiness of the party, doesn't it? They're more interested in pride flags. What a pathetic bunch of individuals out there. How pathetic. But anyway, I think we will probably leave it here, but we will finish off. We will finish off with a little bit of light-heartedness to take it away. But like as I say, I will say that next week's Friday Frolic, back to normal, 5 p.m. Friday, and we will. So that's it now. But what I will say, we will now head off with a bit of fun. Yes, here we go. And this is hilarious. This is a bit of a story, a bit of a funny start. Now, you might not find it hilarious, but if you're a cat lover, you probably won't. But twat. I mean, yes, we get there, but There we go. This is a story about I've never heard of this. I've seen his face, but I didn't know his name. Apparently, this is Will Mellor, and it's a story about his cat. And you really couldn't make this up. Bit of a sad story, but it does have a bit of a funny ending. So take it away.
The cat had been missing for about 6 months, and then someone brought a cat round to.
Oops, I've just realised. Does help if you transition your tit. Right, we'll.
The cat had been missing for about 6 months, and then someone brought a cat round to the house. I was away, and my daughter's going mad, saying, "Leo's back!" And then he come running around the kitchen. They're all going mad, stroking him, and his cat voice sounded strange. His meow was all weird. So I said, "Oh, he must have been stuck, so I'll take him to the vet." So I took him to the vet, and the vet said he's got cancer of the throat. You're going to have to put him down. I said, "I've only just got him back. He's been gone for ages." So I said, "Can we have another day with him?" Brought him home. The kids were going crazy. I was crying and everything, and then took him to the vet. We had him put down because there's cancer. Anyway, they give me the ashes, and then I put the ashes on the mantelpiece, and 2 days later, Mr. Stone said, "We've got your cat." I said, "You haven't, it's on the mantelpiece." And they said, "We have, he's just been run over." And then we found out that we'd put someone else's cat down, and our cat, it wasn't even our cat. It was a different, because he was a Bengal, it looked the same. I didn't know. I thought it looked a bit rough. I thought he'd been sleeping rough. So then it cost me a fortune to have the cat fixed. It broke its hip. It cost me thousands. Cat, because my daughter was like, "Please, I've got another chance." And then, as soon as he got fit again, he left. I'm not seen him since. Cost me a fortune. And I've still got some dead cat's ashes. I don't even know what they are. My cat had been missing.
Yes, paying all that money to bring cats, and I have to say, when it comes to ashes, they're not cheap, are they? So, oh dear. I know it's a bit of gallows humour, but I just think, oh dear, you just couldn't make that story up. Oh dear, I've got some stories about when I worked for council, you know, when it picking up dead animals, but that's possibly for another day. But anyway, what I will do is, I would say thanks for stopping by, but you're not here yet. But like I say, what I've done, I've basically pre-recorded this live stream. Hopefully, shouldn't be any problems. Shouldn't be any problems, but for when it goes out, normal time tomorrow, and by the time it's out, hope I should be up in Edinburgh, you know, just getting sorted and getting ready, probably pop down to the bar, have a cheeky beer and chill out and rest and recuperate from the long journey. Hopefully it's not as tortuous as when we went down to Weymouth. My God, 9.5 hours, that was just, Jesus, that was mental. But anyway, never mind. What we'll do is have a lovely weekend. Take care, my friends. And if you cannot be good at it. So take care and bye-bye, and see you next week.
Here's Daily, he's so solid. It's Friday, 5 p.m. and time to throw it. So never mind the bullets, here's the Friday bullets. Here's Daily, he's so solid. It's Friday, 5 p.m. and time to frolic. So never mind the bullets, here's the Friday Frolics.
And all because
Take care, and anybody who's up in Scotland and anywhere near Glasgow, I'll be on it. I do have Discord on my phone, so if you want to say hello, I'm more than welcome to say hello. But anyway, have a lovely weekend and take care, my friends.